Greg here at 720 Guitars, and this is part 2 of the Ibanez P-90 pickup project. In the previous video we've looked at the concept and the design process, and now we're going to get into the hands-on. So my package has arrived from Cosmo Music. Here's the pickups. And look, they sent me a free hat. I ended up going with the Suhr P-90s. That's John Suhr of Fender fame. They call them the S90. There were a lot of P-90 style pickups to choose from. Anything from the original Gibsons to a number of kind of small boutique manufacturers. And really there are a bunch I'd love to try. And I feel like you can't go too wrong with any of them. And hey, next time I'll try something different. So when you buy a pair of Suhr P-90s, one of them is RWRP, which is reverse wound, reverse polarity. And that gives you the hum reduction when you have both pickups on. So I just want to double check that one of them really is reverse. And I'm just using a standard compass for this. You can see that the string side on one of the pickups attracts the south pole, and the string side on the other pickup attracts the north pole. So yeah, they are reverse polarity. And you can see by the way the wire enters the coil that they're also reverse wound. I also just like to double check the resistance of the pickups, make sure they're at least pretty close to the spec. So the spec from Suhr on the neck position is 7.1K. It looks like we're in the ballpark there. And the spec for the bridge pickup is 8.1K, and we're looking good there too. And now I've got the rest of the goodies I ordered from Next Gen Guitars. So now I've taken my Solidworks file for the Pickguard and I printed it out on paper, cut it out, and I want to have a look at it in place. See if everything makes sense, and it does, it looks good. Now I'm going to print out a trial version of this Pickguard, something that I can actually use and see how I like it. Obviously not everybody's going to have access to one of these, but you can always just cut a quick one out of Masonite or ABS or whatever you might have kicking around. Here it is in place, it all seems to fit. The pickups and pots and switches are all going to work out okay. And I'm just going to use this temporary pickguard to mark out where I'm going to have to hog out the body of the guitar. Of course the P-90s are a bit too big to fit in the humbucker spot, so it's going to take a little bit of work here. You can see that there's hardly any material I'm going to have to take out. I'm going to start by drilling out the corners using a drill press, starting with the smaller bit and working up to the final diameter. You can see after drilling there's really not a lot of material I still have to take out. So rather than using a big router, I'm just gonna use a small Dremel tool and take it out by hand. The next step is to mark out the holes for mounting the pickups into the body. And then it's back to the drill press. So now we'll install the pickups into the body, 2 screws per pickup, put the springs on the back side. Let's have a look now at the pots I'm going to use. I'm going to use 500K for both volume and tone. I always like to check the resistance of the pots before I put them in. Here's the volume pot. It's from CTS. It's nominal 500 kilo ohms. And it's measuring out at 527 kilo ohms, which is a pretty normal variance. And here's the tone pot. It's also CTS, 500K nominal, This one's a no-load pot, and you can see that it goes up to just over 500K and then it jumps to 1. In other words, at that point the capacitor is not drawing off any of the sound, and you're getting your output directly from the volume pot and essentially bypassing the tone circuit. Now it's time to wire it up. If you're looking online for a circuit diagram, just check out Telecaster wiring, right? It's going to be the same thing. 2 single coil pickups, a pickup selector, a tone, and a volume. One thing to keep in mind here, at least with these Suhr pickups, is the neck pickup is already reverse wired, and you don't want to double reverse it, so just keep in mind the white lead from both pickups will be the hot, and the black from both pickups will be ground. So let's get this temporary pickguard arrangement installed. We'll spend some time with it and see what kind of changes we might end up making before we go to our final version using the tortoiseshell material. Okay, so I've printed off another version of this pickguard. I played the guitar for a week or so and I decided I was going to make a few changes. First thing is just in the appearance, I didn't really like the look of this little protrusion here, so you can see I smoothed it out on the new one. And the other thing was using that Les Paul type selector switch in that position. I found that I was accidentally hitting that switch once in a while, especially when going for the tremolo bar. So I swapped places between the tone control and the selector switch, so the selector switch is now in the middle. I also decided to switch out the big selector switch for a mini switch. And you can see it's quite a bit smaller. You generally don't see people using micro switches for selector switches, but they work perfectly well. The downside might be that in a live situation, it might be a little more difficult to access. The upside being that in a studio situation, you're far less likely to flip it by accident. So now I've had a good chance to try out all these changes I made, and I'm really happy with them. Now I'm comfortable going ahead and making the final pickguard. So that's it for part 2. For the final stage of this project, please go to video number 3, where we put it all together and give it a demo. Just click on the link below.